Hi, my name is Sarai Garza, and I will be having an interview today about the years before the Chicano student movement started here in Kingsville, Texas. Today I am interviewing, can I have your name and today's date, please?
Emma Ramos. I'm 82 years of age, and I was born in Kingsville. I graduated from Henrietta M. King High School in 1959, and I went to work after that. After graduation, I went to work in Corpus Christi. Then I went to McAllen, and I went to El Paso, and I went to Dallas, and I ended my career with Social Security in Laredo, Texas. After 26 years of work with Social Security, I retired at age 45.
And do I have permission to record this interview?
I'm sorry?
Do I have permission to record this interview?
Yes.
Okay. So the Chicano student movement was a civil rights movement where students fought for equal rights in the classroom area, and it started around 1960s. I understand that you graduated before this movement started. What year did you say you graduated?
In 1959.
1959?
Yes.
Can you give me a detailed explanation of your experience as a Mexican-American woman in the school in the 1950s?
Yes. In high school especially, I lived some discrimination because, in particular, there was one teacher that would tell us Hispanics that we didn't know how to speak English. And she used the example of potato chips, and she would say that we would say potato chips. And it really bothered me in a way, but it also helped me because I would go home and I would practice so that I would not have that problem of not being able to pronounce words that had the CH, which I found very strange because in Spanish, the CH sounds just like it's supposed to sound in English. We have like cha-cha-cha, muchachas, and yet when we were speaking English, for some people, it was difficult for them to pronounce the word correctly, emphasizing on the CH. And that was in high school. We were not encouraged in high school. We Hispanics were not encouraged to go to universities or the local college. They never spoke to us about scholarships or student loans, and they would tell us that the girls were supposed to work as secretaries or clerk typists in offices, and the boys were supposed to go to the military service. And many did go to the military service, the boys did. I took courses in high school on business courses, which helped me after I graduated from high school. After I graduated from high school, of course, I could not go to the university because my dad could not afford it. And he had seen an article in the Corpus Christi paper about a new business school in Corpus Christi that he said I should attend. He wanted me to go further. And so this was a 3-month course that the courses that I was going to be taking were shorthand and typing and bookkeeping, which were the courses that I did take in high school. So I went ahead and enrolled in the business school. And while I was there, it was really a waste because it was a repetition of the courses that I had taken in high school. And every time that they tested us, I scored the highest grade. At the end of and the school had told us when we signed up that they would find a job for us. So that made me feel good because I had never worked. And so at the end of the 3 months, the director of the school invited the Texas Employment Commission to come and give us a test. And after that, the Texas Employment Commission was going to help us find a job, depending on our scores. And as luck would have it, I scored the highest grade in the test. And the lady from the Texas Employment Commission said to me, that she would have no trouble finding me a job because of the score. And so I was present when she tried calling local companies in Corpus Christi, like some of the plants there and some of the larger offices. And she would say, I have this young lady and she scored very high on this test and we're trying to place her someplace. And so it sounded like to me on my side of what I was hearing that they were enthusiastic about me. But when she pronounced my name, or when she said my name was Emma Ochoa, then the tone changed. And then at the end, she would say, they'll call you. Well, she tried several times and without very much luck for me. But she was a friend of the manager at the Social Security office there in Corpus Christi, and she sent me to talk to him. And it was Mr. Cleveland. He was very considerate, he was very attentive, and he was very helpful. I was not aware, because we were never introduced about federal agencies or state agencies or city agencies, jobs with federal or city county governments. And Social Security was a federal agency. So Mr. Cleveland asked me if I had ever taken the entrance exam to work with the federal government. And of course, I had not, because at high school, nobody had ever mentioned the possibilities of working with a federal agency. So I took the exam, and Mr. Cleveland had said, as soon as you get the results, come back to see me. And I said I would. Well, in the meantime, I needed to find a job, and there was an employment agency that was able to place us in jobs, but we had to pay for them finding us a job. And they did find a job for me with an insurance company as a clerk typist. And so my charge by the employment agency, was 40% of my weekly salary for a month. And I was only making $40 a week. So it didn't leave me with much money, but I was thankful that I had a job. Then I get a letter from the federal government saying that I had passed the test, and I went back to Social Security, and Mr. Cleveland hired me. And I was thankful. And he told me later that he had seen potential in me, even though I had never worked before. And I worked 26 years with Social Security, and I started as a clerk typist, never having gone to college. And I ended my career, I retired in Laredo, Texas, as district manager of the Social Security Administration. And that's about all my employment history there. Now, I do have a friend. I had several friends that graduated the same year as I did, and they did go to the university, local university. Their parents were better able to afford the tuition and books. And they lived here in town, so they didn't have to pay for dorms or anything like that. One friend in particular, after graduation, within 3 years of graduating, got not only her bachelor's, but she also got her master's degree in just 3 years. When she applied for a teacher's job here in Kingsville, the superintendent would not hire her. They would not offer her a job. And so she was very firm with him and asked, why? Is it because my last name is not Smith? And really that was the attitude back then. They did not hire Hispanics as teachers, even though they were prepared to teach, because of the discrimination that existed in those years. And so many of the ones that graduated with teaching degrees had to go to other cities to teach. Many went to Robstown, many went to Bishop, and my friend went to Austin. She and her husband were both teachers, and they both moved to Austin. And Mayo and La Raza Unida were aware of the lack of Hispanic teachers in this education system here in Kingsville. They knew that, and they also were aware that teachers were not being hired here. Hispanic teachers were not being hired here. So their movement, even though they were not successful because they did some walkouts. One member of the Raza Unida even ran for governor of the state of Texas and didn't get very many votes. So that kind of killed the Raza Unida party. And so I think that the attention that Mayo and La Raza Unida brought to the discrimination of Hispanics opened the door for teachers to be hired here in Kingsville. There were also Celanese and Humble, now known as Exxon. They did not have many Hispanics working for them. So I think the Raza Unida and the Mayo movements helped so that they started to look into the possibility of hiring minorities, and of course Hispanics are considered minorities, and it made some good careers for many of the Hispanics of Kingsville.
Yes. When Mayo and Raza Unida were here in the area, how do you think the people here in town responded to them being here?
Well, many older Hispanics did not appreciate the term Chicano. We were used to Mexican American, and because they were the older ones did not think that the walkouts were going to help really. They thought that they were a waste, that there was no reason for them doing that. But that was a different kind of thinking among the older Hispanics, the older residents of Kingsville. Even though many of them went through discrimination of different kinds a lot earlier. For example, I remember one time when we went to a service station here in Kingsville. This is I probably was about 10 years of age. And there was a sign that had the water fountain back then that said Mexicans and blacks and whites. The theaters, we had 2 theaters in town. The Hispanics were supposed to sit in the upper level with the blacks. And we accepted it. We accepted it because we wanted to go to the movies and didn't have. And I experienced that because I went with my mother. And what is so funny is we were trying to get our seats upstairs in the theater I'm going to call it the balcony. My mother touched the head of one of the kids, and she felt the curly hair. And my mother kind of like, just it went with a size. It made a noise that was a little embarrassing for me, but that's where we were, and that's what was expected of us, was to sit upstairs, and that eventually went away, and it's not existent right now.
Yes. Do you think? Well, did you ever speak to your parents about this, like how you felt, or? No, because once I got out of high school. My parents, my mom only had a 3rd grade education, and so she was more concerned about us going to school or making certain that we had clean clothes and when we went to school. So they never really said anything. My father did not have a job like in an office or a plant, not for many years. Eventually he got a job with Corn Products in Corpus Christi, which was very good for us. We were now able to have, I was able to have more than just one pair of shoes with Dad finally working. Now, my 2 brothers joined. I have an older and younger brother. Both my brothers went into the Air Force, and one served 20 years and the other one only 5. My younger sister was able to go to the local university with my help. And my dad by that time was working at Corn Products. So between my dad and me, we were able to put my sister through college without her having to apply for loans or grants or anything like that.